Ben, brother, honored to be here with you. Thank you for joining me. You've been an inspiration for me. I've been watching you, and that's why I wanted to sit and talk with you and connect with you today. We've known each other it's been a long time, right?
It's been a while, like at least 7, 8, 9 years maybe.
Yeah, we met training jiu-jitsu
At
Fight Sports. Even back then when you were young, I noticed, dude, you had it at a young age. I saw it. You were a teenager. You were in high school, right?
Yeah, I was 16 when I moved to Miami.
And you were training with like the best in the world at the time, right? That was a high level competition team, but I saw you had like deep passion, conviction, and humility, right? And skills, and you were one of my favorite people to train with at the time, man.
Thank you, Danny.
It's beautiful to reconnect. Tell me a little bit about, I guess first, let's start there. Like, how'd you get into jiu-jitsu? Like, how did that journey start?
So I started training jiu-jitsu when I was 11 years old.
Okay.
I am the middle sibling of 4. So I have an older sister, older brother, me, and then a little brother. And my big brother, when we were kids, bro, he used to just kick my ass for pretty much anything. And so I had to learn to defend myself, right? And he had a friend that did jiu-jitsu. I watched his friend, who was much smaller than him, beat up my big brother. And I was like, bro, I have to do what you're doing. This is like the coolest thing in the world. And I went, I tried it, and I fell in love right away.
Amazing. Were you doing other sports at the time, or?
I played soccer. I played soccer for 7 years as a kid, but it was more because my dad wanted me to. I never like fell in love with soccer the way I fell in love with fighting.
You fell in love with jiu-jitsu right away, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Bro, what was the initial thing when you first fell in love with it that like really pulled you to it?
Bro, I couldn't tell you off the rip, but I can tell you the first time that I ever won a tournament. That's when I decided that's what I wanted to do. I was in 8th grade. And like I said, I played soccer, but I never loved it. I was never the best. My dad used to like give me and my siblings prizes whenever we got straight A's, and I always was the one sibling that had like 1 B. I never got the prizes. And I remember I went out to compete. It was a new breed. And I just remember the sensation when the ref raised my hand. I had 1 match, I won. And all of my teammates were screaming, going crazy. My dad was proud of me. I think it was like probably the first time he's ever been actually proud of me. And I just, at that moment, I knew, I was like, this is what I want to do with my life.
That's the most beautiful feeling, right? Like,
yeah, it is.
Going through all the nerves, because it's scary, right? I'm sure that first tournament you were nervous and scared and like pushing through it, and then that feeling of like conquering, that feeling of like glory, right?
Yeah.
All the hard work that you put in and being able to like make it happen.
It feels amazing.
And you went on to be super successful, right? Like you had a really great career, like competing at very high levels, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about, I guess, as you progressed in your jiu-jitsu career, your mindset as you started to go into more higher level competitions, right? Like tell me a little bit about how you prepared mentally. I know you have to train physically extremely hard, right? Like nothing happens without the hard work, but tell me about your mindset going into like bigger tournaments.
Well, I would definitely say that confidence is essential. And confidence comes from the work that the physical labor that you do, sleeping right, eating right, resting appropriately, training hard, but there's a line between training hard and going too hard and getting hurt.
Yep.
Right? But I think the mindset is just you can't control what you can't control. And you can't control what you can't control. So everything that you can control, you just got to make sure that it's on point. And then the rest, let it all fall into place.
Day of competitions, how did you typically feel? Like some people feel super nervous, some people are excited, some people feel nothing. Like where were you at day of competition, walking into tournaments?
Day of competition, I wasn't nervous until like 3 hours before I had to fight.
Okay.
And then I just had to stay calm.
Yeah.
Listen to like some classical music and just vibe a little bit.
Okay, classical music.
Yeah, something to relax me.
Okay, awesome.
And then maybe like 5-10 minutes before fight time, it's listen to some pump up hype rap and just get right into it, you know?
That's a good transition. So classical to keep you calm, and then switching it
and
into
then
like
throw on
hype
some
rap.
like 50 Cent G Unit.
Okay, I love it, right?
Yeah.
I love it. I watched that progression, man, and I was always a fan. And I remember when we first started training, I don't know if I was a higher belt, but I was older than you, right?
Yeah.
So I remember it was a good match, but I was able to beat you, and then I saw you progress, and then we reached a point that I remember I reached out. I was like, Ben, I want you to train me, and I took privates with you, right? And that's a beautiful thing to also watch, right? To see like the growth and the emergence, and I recognized that. I was like, this guy's got it. Like I want to learn from him now.
Thank you, Doug.
So, like, your career, your life took a hard, unexpected detour, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that day and what happened.
So that day, I woke up. I was a week away from fighting the IBJJF World Championship. It was actually my last hard training. And believe it or not, I got injured in the morning. But at 2 or 3 p.m., I had an appointment to sign the lease to open up my own gym in Broward.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Bro.
A lot of people don't.
You were going to open your own gym.
I was going to open my own gym. I had everything. It was going to be Fight Sports Plantation.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what ended up happening was I woke up. It was a regular day. I went to go train. I did the whole training. I felt fine. And then I was like, there's one more round. Let me get one more tough training. I look around the room, and I see Robinho. He's a black belt from Brazil, stud, great guy. But he's the toughest guy in the room. That was my weight. So I call him out, and I remember he had a single leg on me, and I stiff armed him. I kicked my leg out, and then I had that collar on the grip on the collar. So I shot the fireman carry, and I pick him up. I'm on my feet. I have him over my shoulder, and I slip on a puddle of sweat. Fall on my butt. My back kind of hunched over, and he fell on my neck, and I heard a, and I screamed because I was scared. And it wasn't even necessarily painful at the moment. It was more of just fear. And he got off me right away. My body stiffened up, and I'm on the floor. And I remember trying to get up, and I was like, fuck. This is pretty serious. And I couldn't move anything. I remember I moved my arm. It raised like 2 inches, and then it just collapsed on me. Long story short, they rushed me to the hospital. The ambulance ride was brutal. When I get to the hospital, they're asking me a bunch of questions. I'm like, bro, just put me to sleep and make the pain go away. They put me to sleep, and then I wake up with a neck brace, fully operated, C5, C6, neck spine injury, and I'm a quadriplegic today, but I'm doing pretty well.
That's a heavy moment, man. Tell me, so if you don't mind, I want to go back to that, right?
Yeah.
Like a big focus of these conversations is talking to people when they've been in the dark moments, right? Like,
yeah.
Talk to me about where your mind was in that moment, right?
When it first happened.
When you woke up there and your reality had completely transformed, and now you're in a new life.
So I'll be completely real with you. I wouldn't say I was in denial. I think I didn't understand the severity of what happened. As a fighter, you're always injured.
Yep.
Right? And so I was in the mindset that, dude, I'll be fine in 3 weeks. And the doctors were like, no, like, you're probably never going to walk again. You see how messed up you are? 50% chance that you're not going to get better at all. This is like as good as you're going to be. And I was like, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. And I remember I yelled at my doctor, and I yelled at all the nurses, and I was like, you guys know nothing. You don't know who I am. And then it really hit me when I was like 3 weeks into my injury, and I saw that I wasn't better. And I was like, damn, this is serious. I remember I went out. So I was in bed, fully paralyzed for like about a week and a half, maybe almost 2. And then after that, I leveled up to a little electric chair that had like a little joystick, and I could skirt around in it. And I remember the first night, it was 3 weeks in, I went outside with my mom. I was still staying at the hospital at the time. I went outside with my mom, and I watched my first sunset after the injury. And I broke down, bro. I broke down. I was like, man, 23 years old. This is the best I ever did. This is like as far as I come, and my life is over. But clearly that's not the case.
Yeah. So that's a very challenging moment to face. It's a new reality in your life. Talk to me about what your mindset was like when you started pulling yourself out of that space, right? Because I'm sure like you went into some dark places, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll be real with you. I was maybe 2 or 3 days into my injury, and I actually had my jiu-jitsu professor, Cyborg, our jiu-jitsu professor, Cyborg, come in, and he didn't give me the choice to like feel bad for myself. He came in, I think it was the second day after my injury, maybe the first. He came in and he was like, Ben, this is an opportunity for you to show the world how tough you are, how strong you are. He didn't ask me if I was okay.
Yeah.
He was like, you're okay. Take out your phone. Give me your phone. I'm going to make a video, and you're going to tell the world that you're okay and that you're going to beat this. So I didn't have a choice. At that moment, he kind of like flipped the switch in me, and he was like, Ben, let's go. It's game time. And I looked at it kind of like the same way that you would look at a training camp for a tournament. But my tournament was my recovery, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the mindset that I kind of have applied towards my recovery. Has just been like, okay, fight camp, let's go. What's next? Problem ahead, let's fix it and move forward.
Do you think jiu-jitsu, your jiu-jitsu training, your career helped you like in that transition?
Tremendously.
How?
Well, what is jiu-jitsu? Jiu-jitsu is like a series of problems, and you're just always problem solving, right? And so what is this? It's a problem. It's got a problem solve, right? From one second to another, people think that when you break your neck, it's like, oh, I can't move. But bro, your bowels don't work the same. Your bladder doesn't work the same. Your sensation isn't the same. You can't move. Many times you can't feel. Everything's completely different. You don't know how to eat. My hands are paralyzed. So like learning how to use forks and eating utensils was a crazy curve that I had to overcome, you know? So it's like you go from being a fully independent adult, living by yourself in Miami, to a baby who doesn't even know how to eat. And then you have to relearn everything and come back.
It sounds like Cyborg was a integral part of like the inspiration and the motivation to kind of like
For sure.
tackle this with the mindset of a martial artist, right? Were there other people like in your family, like your support system, your team that kind of like...
Dude, my support system is ridiculous. If I can't even like name one by one, because somebody's going to be upset that I didn't name them, because I have way too many people that I love and love me back. My mom played a massive role. She has her business in Paraguay, and she like dropped everything and moved to the US for pretty much a full year and just to take care of me until she saw that I was good enough to be by myself. And so now I live with my sister.
Okay.
We're roommates. But yeah, man, like I have a tremendous support system. I think the jiu-jitsu community rallying behind me too was a major support.
How do you stay positive on the darkest days? Because even regular people, everyday people that just have a regular life, 9 to 5, right? They have dark days, right? And they struggle with it. How do you handle those internally?
Bro, I'll be real with you. I haven't had a bad day in a long time.
That's powerful.
That's the truth right there, bro.
Yeah.
I am always doing stuff.
Okay.
I'm always doing stuff. I'm always on the move, and I'm always just trying to get better. I think that's like something that a lot of people don't do. I think a lot of people don't have like the self-love that you need. Because if you love yourself, everything else falls into place. Because if you love yourself, you're going to wake up early, you're going to do what you have to do, you're going to get shit done, you're going to be productive, and then you're going to go to sleep early so you can wake up again the next day and do it again, right? And of course, there's going to be days where you party or whatever, but for the most part, you're on your shit. And I think that that's something that a lot of 9 to 5 people don't have, because they're just part of the system, they're plugged into the system, they're just they're blindly doing the things and going through the motions without like passion and love for what they do.
Yeah. So the thing that you loved and your passion was taken away. Right?
Yeah.
Walk me through, now you're doing a lot of cool new things.
Yes,
right?
I am.
Tell me how that process starts. How did you start to find some of these new things that you're doing now?
So there is a whole like recreational therapy system at Jackson Hospital, which is the hospital where I did my rehab. And there's a recreational therapist called Ashley, and her job is literally just to like present you with all of the different things that you can do with your new disability, different sports. And then she just kind of makes you try one by one, and eventually you choose the ones that you like and you stick to them, right? So first I did racing. I did a 5K. I think I did 2 or 3 5Ks, and then I did a half marathon in my chair. That was very difficult, but it brought back that like when you're exhausted and you're pushing and you just gotta go. It felt like I was trying to pass somebody's guard, side to side, toreando. And so that was nice. It brought back that like a little bit of the fighter in me. but it wasn't enough. So I kept looking, and eventually I've fallen in love with wheelchair rugby. Wheelchair rugby is really cool because it's a community of people, and everybody has pretty much the same problem. I mean, there's like slight differences in the injuries, but we all have very similar problems. And so they forced, like my rugby teammates, they forced me to get out of my power chair. They bullied me to stop using the adaptive equipment to eat when I go out. Now I just use regular silverware because I had to do it. Otherwise, my friends would make fun of me. And then not to mention, it's a cool sport that stimulates you not only physically, but mentally. Being stimulated physically and mentally at the same time is kind of hard when you have a spinal cord injury because you're in your chair all day, right? But rugby does that.
Incredible, bro. I think that's so important, right? Finding the thing that you love, that you're passionate about, that like lights that fire up inside of you. You're right. Like when people don't have that, it doesn't matter how successful they seem to be on the surface level, right? If you don't have something that you love, that you're passionate about, that like you're getting better at, and that's forcing you to grow and adapt, like that's really what it's about, man. And it's so powerful. Like jiu-jitsu is one of the most beautiful ones to do that to people, but it's also scary for a lot of people. A lot of people can't make it through those first few sessions when they get smashed, right? Their ego can't handle it. Their body can't handle it. So that's already a very challenging and unique one. And I think it's only a certain breed of people that really kind of go deep into that, right? Mm-hmm. And you had that spirit. Yeah. And then being able to find it somewhere else is incredible, man. That's incredible. But I think you also, that's who you are, right? It's a reflection of who you are.
Yeah.
You're also looking pretty swole, strong, and in shape. Yeah. Tell me like what you're doing like physically. I know there's a lot, I'm sure there's been a ton of like rehabilitation. Tell me that process, like where you first started, what the first real challenges were, and where you are now and what you're doing now.
So when I first got hurt, I was focused on like, I need to walk again. But this injury is pretty serious. And realistically speaking, I'm probably not going to walk again unless like something crazy happens in the medical industry, right? But I spent the first year more or less just like spending a bunch of money going to rehab places where they would like help me stand up and help me try to move. But the truth is, if I was going to walk, it's been 2.5 years, I'd be able to at least move my leg a little bit by now, right? Mm-hmm. So then once I realized that, I was like, okay, well, what is working? My arms kind of work, right? Let me focus on getting them strong.
Yeah.
And then I've just been grinding in the gym for a little over a year now, and the results speak for themselves. I'm feeling great. My self-confidence is back, you know?
I love that.
Yeah. For a long time, I was like, I would look in the mirror and I would be upset. I would look in the mirror and I didn't like what I saw. I saw a skinny, weak man. And I was like, this is unacceptable. This is not going to happen. So I just grinded as hard as I could. So
you're training like every day now?
Yeah. I have to force myself to rest because I'm a little crazy.
Yeah.
And I like to go like balls to the wall all the time. So like today I'm taking it easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I train. I like to get in my rugby chair and push it around at least 3 to 4 times a week. I'd like to lift at least 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes 5. And then I also like to do jiu-jitsu. I use jiu-jitsu more as like a form of therapy. I'm doing it like once a week just to get out of the chair and move my body and have fun.
Yeah. I've seen some of that. That's really also inspiring, like watching that. What was the original, like, what did the doctors tell you initially?
Initially,
what your capabilities would be?
Initially, I was like a full quadriplegic. Like I could barely move anything, and the doctors was like, look, there's a 50% chance that you're going to get better at all. And how much better, like, I really don't know. But there's a 50% chance that, like, this is as good as you're ever going to be. Mm-hmm. That was the initial diagnosis.
Yeah, man, and it seems like you've progressed past that, and now you're into this new... Like, there's a couple of other things that you're doing, right? It's rugby, and what else? Tell me what else you're doing.
I run a nonprofit. So me, my sister, and some friends, we founded something called the Push On Foundation.
Okay.
And the Push On Foundation is a nonprofit designed to get people who go through a spinal cord injury back into doing sports. Any sport, whatever it is. You could play tennis, you could play rugby. The way that we do it is we're not crazy with the funding right now, but we host a bunch of events. So like I partner with a local run club. And so once a week, every Thursday, actually yesterday, we had 7 wheelchair users pushing along, running along regular able-bodied people. I had 3 wheelchair rugby athletes, 2 wheelchair basketball, 3 wheelchair basketball athletes, 3 wheelchair rugby athletes, and then 1 girl who's training to do the marathon. And it makes me so happy to give these people an excuse to get out of their house, come out, push the wheelchair, be active, socialize with regular everyday people.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
That's a big part of it, right? Like, is giving back, right? Helping. In jiu-jitsu, that's what the journey is, right? In the beginning, you're getting smashed, but other people are helping you along the way. They're smashing you and helping you along the way. And then you reach a point where you start to become a higher belt and you start to help the people, the lower belts, the people that are just beginners, right? And it looks like you're doing that in a different format now.
In jiu-jitsu, you're only as good as your training partners, right?
Yeah.
But that kind of applies to everything in life.
Yeah.
So, like, in life, you're only as good as people around you. So, like, if I'm leveling up, I got to bring everybody with me, because if they come up with me, then we all move up together, right? Then it's the next step.
Have you found yourself working with people that are kind of like early in this journey that maybe just recently, have lost their ability to walk?
Yeah.
And what is the conversation like there? Like, like if somebody that's new to it and maybe that doesn't have the same background that you did, that doesn't have that mindset. You came into this with a really strong mindset and discipline, right? How do you help those people? How do you meet those people?
Well, just by showing them the example.
Yeah.
Really, right? Like, the best way to lead is by example. So it's just kind of like showing up and be like, hey, bro, like, I know it seems super intense right now. You think your life is over, and like, I'm sure you might feel that way, but like, look, dude, I have a pretty good life. Yeah. And then I show them all these things. I'm like, look, like, I offer these resources. You can come out to our events and do these things. We host workout clinics as well, where we teach people how to work out in wheelchairs, invite people to the gym, show them like on a one-on-one basis as well. We host jiu-jitsu events, hosting a big one February 8th. It's a fundraiser for the nonprofit as well. It's just like a big open mat, open to all schools. Everybody can come out and train with able-bodied people, train with disabled people train with disabled people, and it's going to be a great vibe.
That's incredible, bro. That's incredible. Do you have a relationship with a higher power or a belief in a higher power?
Bro, so I pray to God.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that I'm like super religious, and I couldn't tell you what religion I am.
Yeah.
My family's like Christian Catholic.
Yeah.
So I use like the Our Father to start, and then I just talk to God.
Yeah.
But my grandpa, when I was a kid, I used to go spend my summers with him, and he used to always tell me that you just have to believe that God loves you and that you love him. And so I always say, like, God's my bro. He's got my back. He's, even throughout all of this crazy turns that life has given me, he's always made sure I'm okay.
I love that. So do you feel like that's been an important part of this process?
Yeah, I come and go, bro. I'm a little bit, like, it's interesting. So there's phases in my life where I, like, forget about God a little bit. And then there's phases in my life, like right now, especially lately, like when I went to the USA tryouts for wheelchair rugby, I was praying every night to God. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I think it's definitely helped. It gives you, like, just an extra little sense of I'll be all right.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's an important part when you're going through challenging moments in life, right? When life is really like pressing you to be able to keep that, man. And one of the things that I noticed about you when you were young was like you had like a really good like light and spirit, right? Like I saw that as a young kid, and I saw that it was unique, and it's beautiful to see that you've like maintained it, and it's still here, like through all of this, because I see a lot of people go through really challenging things, and a lot of times in life, those moments completely break people, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't recover from them, right? They have something devastating happen in life, and it comes in many forms, right? And I see them completely break, and they're not able to recover from it, and it starts to define them, and they kind of sink into that victim mentality, and I don't see that in you, man.
I'm not a victim.
Yeah, I don't see that to you, man. I don't see that, and that's so powerful, man. That's so inspiring. Like, I see, and then there's those rare individuals that go through that fire, right? And the fire like makes them, and they become something even more powerful, right?
So I'll be real with you, bro. If you look at me, my mindset before my accident, after my accident, I am much better off mentally than I am now. I'm more than I was before. I'm more confident. I can't even put it into words. I just feel better, bro.
Yeah.
I'm happy with myself. I'm content. I know that I did everything that I did and continue to do everything that I can to just keep getting better. So
What could you tell people that are trapped in a situation in the mind, right, where they're seeing themselves as the victim in this situation? What advice would you give them?
it's kind of harsh.
Huh?
It's kind of harsh.
It's okay.
Stop being a bitch, bro. That's the truth, bro. Stop being
right?
a bitch, bro. And we all have troubles. We all have troubles. And like your worst day could not compare to my worst day, but it's the worst thing that you've ever happened, that you've ever gone through, right? Like, there's an example that I always use, which is like, why does a baby cry when it's born?
Because it doesn't know how to do anything else.
It's the worst thing it's ever been through.
Ah,
That baby was safe inside the womb, cozy, warm. Come out, there's light, there's a doctor cutting the umbilical cord. It's a lot going on, right? Baby's freaking out. But what happens? Oh, look, the light's not that bad. Oh, look, my mom's hugging me. I'm okay. And then the baby calms down and everything's okay. And that's the same thing in life, bro. Like, we're always going to find obstacles. There's always going to be something in the way. And it's just like, all right, breathe, stay calm, and work your way out, just like in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, man. That's so powerful.
Now, the problem is when you don't work your way out.
When you get stuck, right?
Because then what happens? Then you get anxiety. And that anxiety eats you up. What's anxiety? Anxiety is like, you know you have to do something about it, but you're not doing, or you can't, or whatever the situation is, right? And then you're not doing what needs to be done. And so your mind's like, dude, you have to do it. And you're like, oh, but I can't, I don't know. And then like it eats you up and it ruins your life.
And it goes deeper and deeper, right? You sink deeper into that hole and you can get trapped there.
But if you just start making moves, everything gets better.
So it's action.
Action.
Right? It's actually like taking the first step. It's like one step at a time, right?
That's it. Having a goal, working towards it. All right, where do I need to be? There? How can I get there? Boom, boom, boom.
And I think jiu-jitsu teaches you that it's one step at a time, right? It's like, I got to get my hook in first, get my hip out, right? Before I get out. And I think that's a really important kind of way of looking at life, right? It's one step at, what's the next step to get to where I need to get to?
That's it.
Yeah. I also saw some interesting things like along your journey. I know you had an experience with mushrooms.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
Mushrooms are great.
No, I'm asking because
I know.
Because I had a really serious concussion that kind of took me out for a long time, and mushrooms was a big part of my healing process. And I saw that you had an experience with it too. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So before my injury, my ex-girlfriend made me try mushrooms for the first time, and I really liked it. I wouldn't say that I did it all the time, but like on occasion, recreationally, I would like take it and go jog on the beach. I would do like a micro dose and do like athletic things. It gives you energy. You feel like a lion, like that you can just do anything, right? Kind of crazy. But then after my injury, I remember I tried it and my legs were kicking like crazy, which they usually don't. My legs were like kicking. Actually, if I take it when I'm in my wheelchair, my body tries to like do a plank. I have to hold on for dear life, otherwise I'll fall off the chair. And so one day I was with my friend and I tried it and my legs were kicking. He's like, bro, like, I don't know if you realize this, but your legs are kicking really strong. I think we could get you to like stand up. And I was like, bro, no way. He's like, dude, let's just try it. And so he starts like moving my leg around. And as I'm kicking, he's like putting like pressure to like make me do kind of like a leg extension. And he's like, okay, we did that for like 10, 15 minutes. He's stretching me out. My legs are kicking. He's like, all right, bro, let's try to stand up. And we stood up and it worked. Pretty crazy.
Had you been able to stand up before that?
I can stand up in my standing frame. Okay. But what we did here is I had my friends like block my knees, and I had one friend on each shoulder. So I had somebody on my knees and then the other two here, and they helped me stand up. And then first we let go of the knees, and I was just holding onto the guys up here. And my legs were holding me up by myself. And so then I was like, okay, instead of holding me, let me hold on to you guys. And I stayed up, and then I was like, okay, let me let go of you. And I stayed up, and I didn't let go of my other friend here, just I think because it would have been a little silly, right, first time. But I was able to stand up just with mushrooms.
They're a powerful tool. I like what you said. Like, I use them to microdose for athletic performance, right? Like before training or for a run, right? It makes you feel incredible, right? Like more connected to your body.
It does.
But it's also here as well, right?
In the mind. Well, it's in the mind.
Yes.
The mind is like what allows you to do everything physically, right? So when it kind of gives you that like, I think it really, I don't even know what it is. I think it just gets your endorphins flowing, and then you feel like you're at your best. And so then it just allows your body to perform that way.
It's a powerful tool.
It is.
So what are your goals now? I know you just went, what was it that you just tried out for?
The United States national team for wheelchair rugby.
Yeah.
So my story is I've done 3 rugby tournaments.
Okay.
The team here in South Florida, it's a developing team. We're not like a real legitimate team, but we're working on it. We have some young players up and coming. And we did our first tournament, actually, the first tournament I ever played. The coach of Team USA, his name is Joe Delagrave, he was there. And he watched me play, and I guess he saw something. And so he set up a Zoom call with me, and he invited me to this talent ID camp. And at the talent ID camp, it was 11 athletes, and it was just guys that like may have some potential. They flew us out to the Olympic training facility in Alabama, gave us food, place to stay, everything, and we just trained for like 3-4 days. And then of those guys, 2 of us got called up to go to Team USA tryouts. People apply from all around the U.S. and either get accepted or denied, and they chose 35 athletes to go to tryouts. We did 2 training sessions per day. It was 3 to 4 hours each, 1 in the morning, 1 at night. And we did that over the course of, I want to say 4 or 5 days. And I made it to the last day. Every day, guys were getting cut, but for some reason, my name was on the list. It was pretty crazy. I didn't expect it to make it that far with such little experience, right? But before I knew it, I was in the last day. We were down to the last 22 athletes of the 20 that made the team, and I was number 21. Broke my heart, but at the same time, it lit up a fire in me because I was like, dude, I had no idea I had this much potential. I could be this good. So the coaches told me that if I keep doing what I'm doing, next year I'll probably make the team. So I'm just hustling as hard as I can, trying to be my best version right now, and hopefully I get on the U.S. national team and I could represent our country.
That's incredible, man. So is that one of the main goals that you have right
Definitely.
now? That's one of the main targets. That's what you're chasing. That's what you're training for.
Yeah.
Are there other maybe sports goals or personal goals that you're also working for at this time?
Yeah. My number 1 goal is I want to be on Team USA. I want to continue to give back, right? My nonprofit is like, it's my baby. I love seeing the community. I love seeing people get together. And then obviously I'm always trying to make more money and just work better, right?
Yeah.
But those are my major goals that I'm working on right now.
Who are the people that are your inspirations, right? Like, it seems like you have a lot of that internally, that fire, that motivation. Do you have other people that have been inspirations for you along the way? It's
a great question. Everybody has little things that I admire about them, right? And so I don't know if I would like idolize anybody in particular, but there's definitely like everybody that I meet has something that I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I should try to work on that to be more like them, right?
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't say that I have like a specific idol or anything like that.
Got it. And along the way, like, who are the main people? I know you said your mom and some other people have been like the main supporting people with you, right? Is there anybody else that has been like really instrumental in this journey coming back or right now?
Yeah, a bunch. I have like a bodybuilder friend. Her name is Ashton, and she reached out to me a little over a year ago. She got me back into the gym. Okay. Like a regular gym.
Yeah.
And that was major. And then my best friend Julian, that guy, him, Joao, my buddy Armando, they come over almost every day after work, and they kind of force me to work out. Sometimes I'm like exhausted, like, come on, bro, don't be a bitch. They love that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, fine. And we all hit the gym, and we all end up working. And so it's like I have to. Like, I came back from Team USA tryouts. I drove back on Sunday, spent 14 hours on the road after doing a 5-day super intense camp. I woke up on Monday, and these guys were like, yo, let's hit the gym, bro, let's go. And I was like, all right, let's go, you know what I mean? And that's like the best, to have friends like that force you to just keep getting better.
I love it. I love it. What would you tell people right now that are, it doesn't have to necessarily be the exact same situation as you, right? But that are in a dark place right now. I feel like right now, collectively, individuals and like all of humanity, right? We're kind of stuck in this place of, like, you talked about anxiety and fear. Mm-hmm. I feel like I see that in the collective, right? What would you say to somebody that's in that place right now?
It's all good, brother. It's all good, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just take it easy.
Yeah.
Take it easy. What can we like? I mean, I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but like, what can you control?
Yeah.
What's in your power? You can control your attitude.
Yeah.
That's for sure, right?
Yeah,
You can control your attitude. You can control where your head's at.
Yeah.
You can kind of guide it. What's the internal conversation that you're having with yourself like? A dialect, right? Like, is that voice in your head telling you like you're a loser, you're a nobody? Man, you're probably feeding the wrong voice, right?
What is a voice in your head?
My voice says I'm a dog. My voice just says I'm a dog. I'll be real with you, bro. My voice just says like, what's next? What do we have to do? Actually, sometimes it's almost bad because I like am overly ambitious to the point where I try to do everything at once, and then there's only 24 hours in a day.
Sure.
Right? And so then it's like, okay, I got this, but in this department, maybe I didn't do what I had to do. And then the voice in my head is that's when it's a little mean to me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, bro, what the hell? You didn't do that. And I'm like, dude, I'm doing my best. You know what I mean?
It's interesting. The voice in the head is everything, right?
It's
and a lot of
everything.
people's voice in their head is like filled with negativity and like the fear, and it seems like you've got a powerful voice in your head, right?
Yeah.
Is that something you always had, or did somebody teach you that, or do you think it was developed over time?
I think it was developed over time. I think I've always had a pretty good attitude.
Yeah.
People, when I was a younger kid, used to say I was like an old soul. I didn't even know what that meant at the time, but now I do.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that that's something. I haven't read the book, but I had a bunch of friends that read the book. Have you read The Untethered Soul?
A long, long time ago.
Okay, and so pretty much it's a whole book about the voice in your head and the conversations that you have with your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my buddy Carlos Joya, you know Carlos?
Yeah.
He talks about it like all the time. And so I have those conversations with him all the time, and he's always talking about your internal world, right? Like all the time we're always working on the external world, like, oh, I gotta hit the gym so I can look good. I gotta work so I can make money, this. But like what's going on in your head? What about your mental health? Mental health is so important. I have a very close person in my family who recently is diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And I watched this person just do the craziest things that I know that that's not who they are, right? And so it was like a big thing for me to have to like speak to them and make them understand that like, bro, it's not the external world. What's going on right now is you got to focus on what's going on in your head and figure that out, because once you get that down, everything else will fall into place. And they're doing it, and I see them in a much better place. So it's cool.
Yeah, bro. The mind, it all starts in the mind, right?
It all starts in the mind.
It all starts in the mind. Like, I think what we are as individuals is we come in with our unique set of skills, each one of us, right? Unique personality, but it's what you do in the mind, how you play the hand that you were dealt, right?
That's it.
That mindset is everything. Like, and that creates the physical person that you become. That creates everything, who you are, right?
And it's all ultimately like, I think that's something that they don't teach in schools. They don't really, like, adults don't even teach it to their kids because they don't even know.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like your kids grow up without knowing it. But like, it's everything, dude. Being okay in the mind, like just taking care of yourself. And it all goes back to self-love. It all goes back to self-love.
Self-love is hard for people. That's hard for people, right? I feel like a lot of people struggle with that. Where do you think that came from for you?
Bro, I don't know, man. I think I was really loved when I was a kid.
Okay.
I think I've always been really well loved.
Yeah.
And so it's been easy for me to love myself, because if like my mom loves me, why wouldn't I? You know.
And when you say self-love, a lot of people like the self-love is based upon what they have. They think it's self-love, right? It's based upon who they are, the ego, their career, the people around them, right? But you had all of that taken away. So when you say self-love, you're talking about something deeper, right? It's not like your career as a jiu-jitsu athlete, how you defined yourself. Like, it's something much deeper, right?
No, because results come and go.
Yeah.
Results come and go. But like, your attitude has to stay the same. Like, I have this thing that I always say, it's called stay winning. Like, I stay winning. Even if I lose, I win.
Yeah.
Like, bro, all right, I didn't make the national team.
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to make the national team. I had done 2 tournaments at the time when I went to go try out for Team USA. I'm not supposed to be there. The fact that I made it to the last day, I won. I got insane experience. I played, bro. Okay, this is guy Chuck Aoki. Chuck Aoki is like Lionel Messi of wheelchair rugby, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I'm there at wheelchair rugby tryouts, and my position is I have to block Chuck Aoki from scoring a try. Do you know how hard that is? Do you know how hard that is? But like, just the fact that I was there and I had the opportunity to challenge myself like that, that's a major win. It's major development. I'm making major strides in the right direction. I won.
That's it.
That's it.
You're always growing, always learning.
Stay winning.
Right? And I think you probably getting smashed by people like Cyborg and all of like the incredible jiu-jitsu athletes that you got a chance to train with, you realize that when those guys are smashing you, they're also making you better.
100%.
Right? And every situation in life, when life is breaking you, it's actually teaching you, and there's lessons in those moments, right? And it's giving you the wisdom, and the strength comes from being able to face those adversities and work through them, right? And not let them define you and not get stuck on that negative and just keep moving forward.
That's it.
I love it, man. You're super inspirational, Ben. Is there anything that you would like to say, a message to people out there? I know you've already dropped a lot, and you've given us a lot of insight on how your mind works and where you're at. Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
I guess if you're going through a tough time, it's gonna get better. Whatever it is that you're going through, it might seem like the end of the world today, but it's probably not, you know? And if it is, and you die, you were just meant to die. Like, I have a big thing. Like, I'm not scared of death. Okay. I'm not looking for it. I'm definitely not looking for it.
Yeah.
But like, bro, if you die, it's because you were supposed to die.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. So until you die, just keep doing your best, because you never know when life's going to change or when you're going to lose everything. And if that does happen, you'll be all right. Just keep cruising, stay winning.
Yeah. I love it, Ben. Ben, man, your mindset is unreal, dude. It's incredible, man. I work with so many people that are like struggling, bro, over small things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not even, it's like small things destroy them, you know?
Like what? Give me like some.
Bro, anything, bro. Like there's a lot of people that I talk to, and like, you know, their parents weren't nice to them, or their mom yelled at them when they were a kid, and they're like stuck on those things, like just small things, you know? But I also work with people that are dealing with like really, really deep, challenging things and, you know, deep adversity. But what I'm seeing is so many people that haven't been through adversity.
Yeah, so like I noticed that a lot. Like a lot of people are struggling with life, and it's like something happens and it's like a traumatic experience or whatever, and dude, they cling on to it. And like I noticed this with some of my siblings when my parents got divorced. They were like, oh, the divorce, dad didn't do this or mom didn't do this, and now I'm in a terrible situation because of it. I'm like, bro, shut up, dude. Shut the fuck up. It's not that bad. You know what I mean? Oh, why? I need to know why this happened. Like, bro, who cares why? Look where you are now. Like, just what can we do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What cards can we play?
Yeah.
I think that's like a major thing. It's just like people freak out for no reason, and they like hold on to like all the tragic things, or like even like on a, not necessarily so family, but like even like if somebody's in a relationship and their significant other cheats on them, they're like, oh, why did they cheat? Like, nah, bro, like just dump him and move on. You know what I mean? It's not that serious.
Yeah, man, that's it. But a lot of people haven't, I think a lot of people haven't been through challenges, right? They haven't been through that experience of having to like push through, and they haven't, that's a muscle that you build, right?
Yeah,
that's a muscle, like that resiliency muscle. And if there's no training in that, and they don't have any experience with that, those like single things just break them, you know? And that's what I'm seeing.
That's why it's important to put, that's why I think sports are so important, like at a, especially when you're a kid at an early age, because it forces you to like just adapt and overcome at all times.
Yeah, man, sports is really, really important, right? Having something like that, like something competition where you start to get used to, you understand what losing is, and you understand a loss isn't the end. Right?
Yeah.
And you learn how to push through it. And like, for me, I compete in a lot of different things, like boxing, MMA, like jiu-jitsu. And in the beginning, I was winning all the time, right? Mm-hmm. My first loss, that's where I learned the most. I remember. But the first time I lost anything, I was in a jiu-jitsu tournament and I lost in the finals, right?
Oh, that burns.
but it was like this was like when leg locks were just kind of starting to happen, right? And I really didn't have a strong leg lock game, and I got leg locked. But then I got obsessed with leg locks, right? Like instead of like, it was the best thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
Like I just became obsessed with it. I found where my hole was. Like there was a hole there that I didn't know about, and now I want to fill it. And that's always how my mindset has kind of been when I'm training myself, right? I look at myself and I'm like, where are my holes? And the holes are where I put the energy, right? That's where I put all of my focus. And I think a lot of people like do the opposite. They look for where their strengths are and they stay in those kind of places.
Yeah, you
right?
can't do that.
Yeah, it's like being able to look at yourself objectively. I look at myself like if I was going to fight myself. That's how I always used to do it. I'd be like, okay, how am I going to beat him? Where's his weaknesses?
It's the best way to do it.
Where's his weaknesses, right? And I always did it the way I always used to do it in jiu-jitsu or in anything, like in combat sports, is like I always looked at it like video games. You remember like the video games, like there would be certain characters that were super strong. Some of them were super fast. Some were tall, right? And like, that's how I'd look at it. Like in the video game, there's always a strategy of how to beat
each player,
right? They all have their strengths, but you have to analyze it. You have to see where the weakness is. And that's always how I did it. It wasn't an emotional thing. I would look at you as an athlete, right? Or as a fighter. And I'd be like, okay, this is where he's super strong. It's a chess game. Let me figure out where the weakness is and let me see if I can attack them. But then it's also doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
Can you do that can you apply it to yourself? And bro, lean in those places where you suck.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
That's the game.
You gotta work, turn your weaknesses. So I learned this. Oh, I learned it in jiu-jitsu, but I had a personal trainer, Ty Stone. Do you know him?
I'm not sure.
Whatever. He's a little genius.
Yeah.
And he used to always, he would, like when we first started working, he analyzed my body. And he's like, okay, these are your weaknesses. We're gonna just work on your weaknesses for like a month or two. And we got that up, and we got my weaknesses turned into my biggest strengths.
Yeah.
And then my old strengths were my new weaknesses in quotations, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, now these are your weaknesses. And we just grinded out those weaknesses. And then those became my strengths, and the other ones were my, and so we just boop, 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 and it kept leveling up.
And that never stops. That never stops. I think a lot of people kind of, especially as they start to get older, they get kind of locked in. Like, this is what I'm good at. This is what I'm not good at. And they kind of lock in and they kind of turn to like a stone statue of what they are, right?
Yeah.
But that game never stops. You have to continue. You're continuously doing it. That's what life is, right? It's that continual growth process. And by doing that, you can become something that you never would have imagined was possible before, right?
Exactly.
Like who you are now, could you have imagined it when you were 12 years old?
No way.
Right?
I would have never thought I'd be where I am now.
Right?
Yeah.
It's interesting seeing that progression, but then also recognizing that right now who you are, right? It's going to grow that much, right? The gap between who you were at 12 and now, right? Who you're going to become if you continue on that path is going to be something that you still can't imagine.
100%.
Right? 10, 20 years from now as a man, because you're still young, man. It hasn't even, I feel like I've reached my maturity as a man, like really started kicking in when I was like in my early 30s. And you're not even there yet, man. You're still in the early stage of the 20s. And like, so who you're going to become, it's going to continue to grow, man. It's going to continue to grow. And that game never stops.
That's it.
That's it, bro.
One more thing. You asked me if I had anything to say for somebody who's going through a tough time. I'm going to hit you with the slogan from my nonprofit.
Yes.
You're stronger than you think.
I love it. I love that. We'll close there. Thank you, Ben.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it, brother.
For sure.